begin this series. So we're going to talk a little Tampa Bay Buccaneers action right now. Oh, and it is officially a final. New York wins 91-90. Unreal. As Boston blew it. And they got outscored 30-17. 30-17 in the fourth quarter as the Knicks now up 2-0. And then the series goes back to New York, goes to Garden. So, I mean, it's going to be dominated by Road Warriors, or the Knicks really going to, potentially break out the brooms in this series. Quickly, give me your thoughts on this series before we get into our Tampa Bay discussion.
I mean, history tells you the Knicks are not only live, man, that they should be the favorites to win this series. 85% of the time, the team that takes the first two games of a series goes on to win said series. They steal home court advantage. Now they go back to MSG, where that crowd is going to be, as the kids say, lit. Jason Tatum, after that dunk, man, I was like, more of that. Less contested threes in the fourth quarter of games. Yeah. It was like a poster, and Jalen Brunson does what he does best in the fourth quarter. You could joke and say Hunt's fouls, but gets to the cup, gets the foul, sinks the free throws. The Knicks hold on. Shows you the regular season means absolutely nothing. They were swept 4 games to none, and now they're up 2 games to none. Even though I have Jason Tatum Finals MVP, that's the first thing that clicked in my head. Finals MVP plus 285 might be dead. I would love to see Tom Thibodeau, Tibbs, as a Bulls fan, get his revenge on everybody. You play your starters too much. You care too much about the regular season. There you go, Tibbs, baby. Keep it coming. And I love your sweatsuits, by the way. Jalen Brunson is a closer. Second best closer in the league, next to Jokic. Whew. All right, sorry. Whew. What a game.
No, it's great. Good stuff. Again, just totally unexpected as New York waltzes into Boston. Now up 2-0 in this series. They see another one. And you're right, Jalen Brunson doing Brunson things, finds a way to manufacture points coming at the free throw line, a pair of freebies, pushes them over the top and propels them to victory. All right, let's go ahead and put the NBA aside. Let's talk Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another edition here, a 3-point stance. Let's start with favorite fantasy values. And here's how we're going to play this. I'm going to throw out a player, the ADP data, and then we're going to have a discussion if that player is overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued. And let's start off with Baker, the touchdown maker, and Baker Mayfield, quarterback 6 right now at 60.31 overall. So knowing those measurements, Horvat, is Baker Mayfield overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued in fantasy football?
I'm going to say properly valued, man. I know that some people can make the case that he's a top 5 fantasy quarterback. The only concern I have is now Josh Grizzard comes over. He's going to call plays, so he's got his 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years. But last year, we thought with Canales leaving there would be a regression. Instead, he had one of his best. He did have his best season as a pro. And what I like is I don't know how much the terminology really changes because Grizzard was the pass game coordinator. Baker last year, 5th in attempts, 2nd in passing touchdowns, 3rd in yards. So I think he's properly rated. Won't be surprised if he's a top 5 quarterback again with a 3rd straight year with the new play caller, though.
Yeah, look, I think he's about right. I would say even slightly undervalued. Slightly. He could be like QB4, QB5, right in that range. That maybe is a little bit better than QB6. A guy that was coming off a ridiculous season. 41 passing touchdowns last year, 4,500 yards. He was quarterback 4 a season ago. Number 10 and deep ball completion percentage and numero uno in red zone completion percentage. You get Chris Godwin back. You get Ibuka on roster. I mean, he's got weapons galore, and the defense is going to be suspect. And the other thing is that Baker is kind of sneaky with the legs. 378 rushing yards, and he also had 3 rushing touchdowns last year. I think the pass rate's going to be high, and he's just got, established chemistry and weapons around him. So slightly undervalued for me, quarterback 6 is Baker Mayfield. What about Bucky Irving? What a sensation he was last season. RB9 is his ADP at 22.89 and a half-point PPR. So I ask you again, overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued on Bucky?
Oh, man. I'll say he's a little undervalued. Last year with Liam Cohen, he had the sheer touches. Second half of the season, he became that guy, though. I think this year, he's running back 1, man, right? I mean, he was He finished as a top 10 running back, rushing yards, 1,122, had 8 touchdowns, 5 yards per carry. I think those numbers only go up. I'm a big Bucky fan. Also could catch balls out of the backfield. So I think he's a little undervalued, actually.
Yeah, I think he is too. I think his ceiling is top 5, and I don't think that is, an outlandish prognostication. I think that is definitely within the realm of possibilities this season. I mean, Tampa was middle of the pack, number 17 in run blocking efficiency last year, but man, that guy was a yak beast. In fact, he was number 1 among all NFL running backs in yak per attempt at 3.93. Number 8 in total missed tackles forced was 62. Number 2 in yards created per touch. Number 5 in yards per touch at 6.0. You're right. I think the opportunity share is going to spike. Only finished 49.6% on the season, but it could be around 75% over Rashad White. Mike Clay's got a projected for 1,069 on the ground, 7 touchdowns. In terms of the rushing variety, 50 receptions at 375 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. So that is RB10 overall is where he's got at. But again, I think it could be a heck of a lot better than that. I think he could still be top 5. I'm going to say slightly undervalued at RB9. What about my cousin, Mike Evans? A guy that's going to be in his age 32 season. Future Hall of Famer, just a consistency. Wide receiver 16 is the ADP, 32.40 overall. So, again, overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued.
I'm going to say properly valued only because of the age, 32. You know, sometimes when these guys have a drop-off, it comes quickly. Last year wasn't really there, though. Another 1,000-yard receiving season, even though it did take all 18 weeks to get there. Had some injuries. Still had 11 receiving touchdowns. That's the one good thing, though. You know you're going to get most likely, as long as he stays healthy and plays 12 games, double-digit touchdowns because he is so big. He's the red zone threat. Everybody else kind of has the same role as slot receivers. So I'll say properly valued, man. I think he's close to the end here.
I'm going to say slightly overvalued for Mike Evans.
Yeah.
It is a precipitous drop-off when it does occur. And Father Time, last I checked, is still undefeated, right? I don't think he's going to, disintegrate right before our eyes by any stretch at age 32. But could he fall a little bit short of 1,000 yards? Entirely possible. I think, around 7-8 touchdowns, likely. I think he's going to be a back-end wide receiver 2 still. I just don't think he's going to be a high-end wide receiver 2. Got to remember last year was number 47. That's it in total yak. And on number 45 in total route wins. So there were some other, Sterling advanced analytics that he had. But again, with him being long in the tooth, it could be prone to, some injuries, some setbacks there. Yeah, slightly overvalued, I feel Mike Evans is at wide receiver 16. All right, let's do a little prop stop. Let's start with Chris Godwin. Coming off that nasty leg injury he had last season, 950 and a half receiving yards is a prop right now at BetMGM. The over at -110, the under at -120. What say you, Horvat? Over or under Godwin, 950 and a half receiving yards?
Oh, man, that's tough, right? Like, it won't shock me if he has 1,100 if he stays healthy for all 17 games working out of the slot. I would lean under, though, right? I mean, he's only 29, but he's had some serious injuries. I feel like he's the oldest 29-year-old on the planet. And they're looking to move on. Not this year from him, obviously, but you look at what they did in the draft, right, with Ibuka. He's a slot receiver. He's not going to play a whole lot on the outside. And you have Jalen McMillan as well, so I would lean under. I think there's going to be plenty of targets for everybody to go around, and you have Bucky Irving, so I think they're going to look to run the football a little bit more as well.
Yeah, I'm bearish on Chris Godwin, and normally I'm very bullish on him. But he's a guy that may only catch about 65 to 70 balls this year. If he remains upright for the necessary amount of games, that could have him in the conversation to cash the over. This is an aggressive number. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't remotely surprise me. He's around 800, 850, and this is at 950 and a half. So I'm going to go well under on that. Mike Clay also agrees. Got it projected for 66 catches, only 724 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He's only has them at wide receiver 50 right now in fantasy. Last season he was on a tear, 8.9 targets per game. Number 5 in catchable target rate. Thank you, Baker Mayfield. Number 16 yards per route run. Number 21 in average yards of separation per target. He was also top 15 in route win percentage. But again, that injury is a major setback. The investments they made at the wide receiver position in the NFL draft. You mentioned McMillan could take that next step. Yeah, I think the under is a smart play. There with Chris Godwin, 950.5 receiving yards. What about Baker Mayfield passing touchdowns? Again, 41 last year. The number is 29.5, and it's used to the under at -130, plus 100 on the over. What say you?
Yeah, that's the market saying, do it again, Baker. We dare you. No, I can only go over, man. I mean, that's a 12-touchdown drop-off. I don't want to, run out and bet it. If they do have a ton of red zone opportunities, maybe it is more Bucky Irving, maybe Tucker. But, yeah, I could only go over. I think 31-32, and that might be like a down fantasy year for Baker compared to last year.
Dude, I'm way over. Again, he was number 1 in red zone completion percentage. What has changed? Nothing.
They got better. Yeah.
It got a heck of a lot better with Ibuka, with another year of J. McMillan, with Chris Godwin coming back from injury. Kate Otten is still there, and he was a heavy red zone target. Mike Evans at 6'5" is a guy he loves targeting the red zone as well. Baker is back, folks, so we need to buy that it was an anomaly last year. I am a true believer that he has resurrected his career, and I think at a minimum, it's going to be 30 touchdowns, and that's all we need to cash in. So give me the over, especially at plus money, plus 100 right now at BetMGM. All right, team lean time. The over-under on team wins for the Buccaneers at 9.5. Juice to the under at -140, the over at plus 115. What do you say? Over, under, 9.5 wins for Tampa.
It's so tough to do, man, because the last 2 years, I was kind of wrong about Tampa, right? They have a top 10 easy schedule in the league. Looking at the strength of schedule, right behind the Dolphins. I'm going to go under, actually, on Tampa, man. I think Atlanta finally shows up to the dance this year. We talked about that last night. They win 11 games. I think the Saints, I agree, are going to be the worst team in the league. But, yeah, I lean under. I feel like they're going to be a 9-win football team, meaning they probably win 11 again.
I say they win 10 exactly, so I'm barely over at plus 115. The juice is just too enticing. The 12th easiest strength of schedule projected. Mike Clay has actually got them at 10.1. I think that's right. They were number 5 last season EP per play offense. And again, this offense got better. Defensively, that's where they're suspect. They were number 17 EP per play defense, but Baker's going to have a high volume, ultra efficient, especially inside the 20-yard line. I think they're going to win at least 10 games, and we're firing the cannons. All right, we got to fire ourselves to a little siesta. When we come back, we'll break down more on the Steph Curry setback and review our cards right here. BetMGM tonight on the BetMGM Network.
You're listening